Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn the next part of Comedy of Errors. In the previous lecture, we learned about the Comedy of Errors theme in the Comedy of Errors. Now we are going to learn about William Shakespeare. All of us know as William Shakespeare is very famous dramatist. Surviving documents that give us glimpses into the life of William Shakespeare show us a playwright, poet, and action who grew up in the market town of Stratford upon Avon, spent his professional life in London, and returned to Stanford a wealthy landowner. He was born in April 1564 and died in April 1616 on the same day of 23rd. It was in 1593 that he became a published poet with his long narrative poem Venus and Adonis, followed by the rape of Lucrece in 1594. He wrote his plays on English history, several comedies and few tragedies. The plays those are considered to be major tragedies are Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, and Macbeth, while comedies such as Twelfth Night, Measure for Measure, As You Like It, and Midsummer Night's Dream, etc. See here, it is the introduction about for the William Shakespeare, and now introduction to the Comedy of Errors, the play. Shakespeare's lively play, The Comedy of Errors, introduces its audience to the old merchant Eugene, who lost his wife and one of his sons many years before, and who has been painfully searching for his other son for 5 years. The play is based upon Plautus' Macachme, a play about a pair of identical twins, and also on Plautus's Amphitryon, from which he borrowed the idea about the wife of one Antipholus entertaining the other Antipholus while her husband is locked out of his own house. The play is of mistaken identity and confusion, about also of misidentification and misunderstanding. This is about the introduction to Comedy of Errors. And now we will move towards what is the theme in Comedy of Errors. The Comedy of Errors is essentially a play about a family that is split apart and then reunited at last. The family unit and bonds of familiar relationships are crucial to the play. Antipholus of Syracuse travels all around the Mediterranean in search of his lost brother and mother, and Eugene puts his life in jeopardy by searching for his family in Ephesus. At the end of the play, Eugene's entire family is overjoyed with reunion among themselves. Appearance and identity. How, due to the appearance and identity, there is a creation of confusion throughout the play. The Comedy of Errors is about appearance and identity. The plot of the play results from the confusion of the identities and Antipholus and Romeo of Ephesus, Antipholus and Romeo of Syracuse. Each one is constantly mixed up with his twin brother because of his physical appearance, even though they act differently and insist on who they are. The play thus shows the folly of making assumptions based on someone's appearance. In the end, everyone's true identity is revealed. What are the mistakes and coincidence in the play? This Shakespeare's play is called The Comedy of Errors for a reason. The play is filled with humorous mistakes and errors, from mistaken identities to mixed up objects to misinterpreted puns. Characters continually make mistakes and grow more and more confused as the play progresses. In addition to the characters, mistakes, simple coincidence are also a significant force in the plot. The play reveals that we often use the supernatural as a catch all explanation for what we don't understand, even though such things are more often just a result of bizarre coincidence and simple human error. Much of the comedy of errors is about mistaken identity and the search for true identity. While the theme of identity is the main force behind the plot, the weakness that follows is also a driving force in this play. The theme of losing and finding oneself goes hand in hand with the comedic mistakes as well as coincidences that occur throughout the play. This theme of identity goes hand in hand with the concept of the differences in appearance and reality. Identity in this play is determined by where one is from, what one does, and how other people portray an individual. Overall, this theme of identity causes much confusion and is an essential reason why the play is titled as the Comedy of Errors, which is driven by two main themes, identity and the element of comedy within mistakes. Due to the mistakes, there is a comedy, and those mistakes create a confusion and creates a comedy. About the comedy of errors and the film Angur, which is the adaptation of Comedy of Errors. An adaptation is a recreation of a literary story that would suit the time, place, and situation of the adapter. Shakespeare's plays have been adapted in nearly every major language of the world, and the pull continues still. Angur is one such effort from famous writer director Gulzar. It is based on Shakespeare's play The Comedy of Errors. As the title itself indicates, the play is full of comic situations derived out of two pairs of identical twins. Shakespeare, to my knowledge, is the only dramatist to have introduced double twins in one play, and one can easily imagine the humor that would be derived out of mistaken identity. The major source of film is the play. Gulzar has successfully maintained this stream of humor while presenting the story in the form of a film. Of course, it is an adaptation, and as such, the story has been moved to the 20th century, and in Indian situation, all necessary changes have been made to suit the new situation. For example, the very beginning of the original play has been discarded, and the scene where the old man narrates his awful tale to the Duke has been discarded to suit the modern times. Some situations and additions, such as the hero smoking and using staff, the songs have also been made to give the film a typical Indian film coloring, maintaining the basic story pattern. Gulzar has produced a hilarious and stunning comedy in Indian context. Here we can understand how Comedy of Errors created as an adaptation, but when we see it is as adaptation, there is a recreation of literary story. And here we can understand how there is a change in the original play, but it is a very humorous in the adaptation of the Comedy of Errors, the film Angur. Here we end for today. We learn in this lecture about the William Shakespeare, little bit introductory part about William Shakespeare. After that, introduction to the Comedy of Errors as a play and theme in the Comedy of Errors, that is the theme of mistaken identity. After that, appearance and identity, how due to the appearance and identity the comedy is happened. Mistakes and coincidence are the major part of the comedy of errors, that due to the characters' mistakes there is a comic situations throughout the play. And last part about the comedy of errors and angurs, how The comedy of errors adapted into the film Angur, and it suits in India. It suits to the Indian situation, Indian scenario, and the Indian society as well. So it is also a good recreation of the comedy of errors. In the next lecture, we will learn about the next part of the comedy of errors and the part ca- characters in the comedy of errors. In next lecture, we will learn about characters in the comedy of errors.